If I check this box in the app, then it'll add the whipped cream topping to our coffee.
Ooh, that'll make the coffee more delicious.
Yeah.
And perhaps more expensive.
True. Eventually, we're going to have to learn how to create an order summary and then send it off.
Oh, so when we send the order summary, that's when we get the coffee, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
But the problem is we don't exactly know if the box is checked or not.
Wait, you just checked the box. I know you checked the box.
Well, it's easy for a human to see, but it's hard for the phone to see.
Who are you calling a human?
Anyways, when you add the checkbox to your app, then it's actually creating a Java object. Like this.
How many of these boxes are out there?
Many. Because in fact, inside the checkbox object, we have a variable.
Okay.
A Boolean variable.
A Boolean. Haven't heard that word before.
Well, a Boolean just means that there's two states here.
Like New York and California?
No, it's more like a light switch.
Damn it. How do you do this? Anyways, so you're saying when we created a checkbox, we had a Java object. Inside of that, we have a variable of type Boolean.
Right.
And the type of that variable is either on or off.
The value of it is, yeah, on or off.
Okay, so I can turn the value from on to off.
Ah, I can't see anything. Can you turn it back on? We're not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so a Boolean can have two states, true or false, and that represents the checked state of this checkbox.
Oh, that's a lot of checks in that statement. Let's just back up. I'm going to summarize. Tell me if I got this wrong.
Okay.
So when we created the checkbox, we created this Java object. Inside of that Java object, we have a variable. Its type happens to be Boolean.
Yes.
And that type of variable can hold two values, either on or off, 1 or 0, true or false.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's play with the Boolean.
Okay, it's time to take that away from you. Let's look at what the documentation says about Booleans. I'm going to Google search for Java data type. That's because Boolean is one of the primitive data types in Java. Primitive meaning basic data types. I'm going to scroll through this list of primitive data types until I find Boolean. And here it is. It says the Boolean data type only has two possible values, true and false. It's used for simple flags that track true and false conditions. Then it says that a Boolean takes up 1 bit of information. This is about how much space it takes up on a computer. Anyways, the important part is that a Boolean has two possible values. You might think that true and false are actually string values because they're text, but actually they're not in double quotations, so they're not strings. They're actually fixed literal values. Do you remember how fixed literal values are like 0 and 1, or specific strings like hello or today? That means that when you create a Boolean variable, you can set it to one of these two values. Going back to our box analogy, if we have a variable called isChecked and it stores information on whether a checkbox is checked or not, then inside this Boolean variable, we can store the value true. Then we can interpret this as the checkbox being checked. Or we can store the value false inside this variable. Then we could interpret this as the checkbox not being checked. A Boolean is great for having two possible states. Then it's up to you as a developer to interpret what true and false maps to. If you need more than two possible states, then you can't use a Boolean. You need to use something else like a string or an integer. Declaring a Boolean variable is very similar to declaring an int. It's not as complicated as creating an object variable. It follows the format of Boolean has whipped cream equals true. We have the data type, which is Boolean, followed by the variable name, which can be anything we want, and then the initial value, which is true or false. Here are a couple of other examples. This is where I set the same Boolean to be false. And here's a different Boolean called isRegistered, and I just initialize that to false. For example, this variable could represent whether a user using our app actually has a registered account with us. Here's another example. Boolean isOrder for pickup equals true. This variable could represent whether someone putting in an order for some coffee wants to pick it up at the store or have it delivered. While our app doesn't support these features, you can imagine how using Booleans could be useful because these things have two possible states. Also notice the way I named these variables. A Boolean variable name has to follow the same conventions as other variable names. However, it's common to start with something like has something or is something. When you see names with has or is, it's likely a Boolean, but not always. What I'm about to show you is a little more advanced and optional, so if you're interested, you can follow along. This is the documentation page for the checkbox class. I'm going to click on View Source to look at the source code for the checkbox class. This code is saved in the checkbox.java file. I want to show you that there's a Boolean variable inside of this checkbox class, but I don't see it here. So let's check the superclass. If this value is true, then the checkbox is checked. If it's false, then the box is not checked. You'll notice that this name doesn't contain the word has or is, but if you go down here, you'll see that the other Boolean variables do have the word has in it. It's all a matter of preference for the developer. In this case, it's probably pretty clear that this is a Boolean for the check state. And while this Boolean is not found directly in the checkbox.java file, since we're inheriting from the compound button class, we get this checked Boolean for free. In general, looking at the source code for the Android classes isn't required at all. To develop Android apps, all you need to know is how to look at the documentation pages. Okay, so in this video we learned about how Booleans can store a value of true or false. In this quiz, practice creating a Boolean variable and updating it by typing out the lines of code in the boxes provided. Type this line exactly in here, and same for the other boxes. Then I want you to think about other good use cases for storing information in a Boolean. Think about what has two possible states. Do you ever use the alarm clock on your phone to wake up? Well, chances are that when you turn your alarm on or off, that's actually getting stored as a Boolean variable. Another possible Boolean variable is whether you want to repeat an alarm or not. In the Gmail app, if I really want to star this special message that I got from the Gmail team in 2011, then I can star it. Or I can unstar it. Since this has two states, it could be stored as a Boolean variable. A possible Boolean variable name for that could be is starred. You could also use a Boolean variable to keep track of whether an email is read or not. This email is unread, whereas this email is already read. Speaking of YouTube, let's go to the YouTube app. In the YouTube app, when it displays a list of videos, if I've already watched it, then it shows this little text box here that says watched in the top left corner of the thumbnail image. The fact that I've watched or not watched a video could also be stored as a Boolean variable. I just showed you some use cases for Booleans, so try to come up with your own here. You can browse existing Android apps for some ideas.